Welcome to Asian Like Me, presented by me, Dr. Sohee Jun, the podcast for the modern Asian woman redefining what it means to thrive. I've spent years navigating the complexities of culture, family expectations, and career ambitions. Here, we have real, unfiltered conversations with incredible women who are breaking barriers, charting their own paths, and owning their power. Together, we'll dive into the wins, the lessons, and the challenges we all face. And yeah, we'll laugh. We'll share stories and drop some actionable tips to help you crush it in your own way. This is your space to feel seen, heard, and inspired. Ready to rewrite the rules? Let's drop in. Happy March, everyone. We are officially in one of my favorite months. March is International Women's History Month, and I have to say that the energy right now, it is so lit and it is so unmatched. I am recording this fresh off of the Winter Olympics, and if you've caught any of that, you know how epic and electrifying it was this year. And you know exactly why I'm buzzing. We witnessed a historic total Asian sweep of the podiums in figure skating and the snowboard halfpipe. And I want to say it was a literal master class in excellence. I was glued to the TV. And especially seeing Eileen Gu become the most decorated freestyle skier in history and Alyssa Liu grabbed that gold. Man, it was such a reminder of what happens when women show up with absolute alignment and clarity. And I've been thinking a lot about alignment and about the women that I coach. And in particular, the question of that I've been grappling with is how do we bring that podium energy, that electric, that bold, that courageous, that aligned energy into our everyday lives when we're not in the Olympic Stadium? And instead, we're in a corporate system that often feels draining. And here's something alarming, and we have to be real about the environment that we're operating in. So, while the athletes are breaking records, I was shocked to read and learn that the corporate ladder is stalling. So the latest McKinsey and leanin.org Women in the Workplace report shows that progress for women in leadership has hit a plateau. And when I read that, there was a pit in my stomach. And we're still, I think, looking at a broken rung and a broken structure because for every 100 men promoted, only 81 women get that same chance. And while we have made so many strides, and I've always said, what you focus on expands. So it's important to recognize all of the ways that we're showing up and breaking records, like at the Winter Olympics, and even in corporate America, there's still a lot to do. And I don't just see this in the data. I actually see it in the faces of the women I work with and the women that I have the honor of coaching every single day. In my coaching practice, where I've worked with thousands of women and many of them Asian professionals over my 25 years as a coach, I see exactly how these numbers translate into lived experience. By that, I mean, I see brilliant, high potential women like you who are completely unaware of the unconscious ways that they're shrinking themselves. And it's about bringing to the forefront that they are playing the game by a set of rules they didn't even realize that they were following. And I call them unhelpful mindsets. And these unhelpful mindsets act like a slow leak in your potential, that you're working harder than ever, but you're losing power because of the unconscious ways you've been conditioned to show up, especially as Asian females, where we are told, and it's deeply ingrained in us and me as well, to be humble, to be a part of the group, to go along, to work hard, and to prove yourself until somebody notices or until you get a pat in the back. And until that happens, you just keep working. So you think that you're being diligent or polite. And the reality is, these mindsets are the very thing keeping us from the seat that we've earned. So, in today's conversation, I really want to unpack the 6 unhelpful mindsets that I talk about and have researched in my book, The Aligned Mindset. And the first one, and I know that these will deeply resonate with every one of you listening. So, if you have pen and paper or if you're out walking, you want to come back to this because these are the mindsets that through research for my book has shown are the ones that make us shrink and play small. The first one is the perfectionist mindset. And it's like the mindset, this perfectionist mindset is the one where we are losing sleep over that last 1% thing that doesn't move the needle because you're terrified of being seen as less than. And quite frankly, you may even think that no one else can do it as perfectly as you can. So I see this mindset time and again in women that are high performing and in Asian women as well, where we want to get it just right. And it often is the mindset that really gets the woman stuck from leading and being the leader that she wants to be because she's stuck in the weeds and trying to dot the small I's and cross the small T's. So that's the unhelpful mindset, number one, the perfectionist. The second one is the overachiever. And this mindset is really that next engine. It's the mindset where if you are ruled by it, you don't even enjoy the win because you're already looking at the next mountain. There's barely an exhale because in this mindset, you're already on to the next project, the next accomplishment, the next achievement that you have to do. And we don't stop to recognize what a big win it was or what a milestone it was and just move on. This mindset, the overachiever mindset, really is one that is coupled very closely with burnout. And I've been there myself and have had to do a lot of work of undoing and knowing when I'm operating from this mindset. The third one is the should mindset. These next two, the should mindset and the next one I'm going to share with you, really hits home specifically for Asian women. So the should mindset is one in which it makes you live by an inherited list of obligations, right? You know the obligations as an Asian woman. Take care of your family, take care of your children, take care of the community, take care of work, and you're not even on the list. And you're being a good worker at the expense of your soul that might want to stop and take a break, or that might want to put some of the obligations down. But this should mindset rules. And so you keep going and doing for everyone else. And if you're hearing this and nodding and raising your hand, I have too. I've been here. And this next one, the play nice mindset. This one also hits home for Asian women. This is, in essence, it's the people pleaser mindset. You say yes to everything because of the discomfort. The discomfort of a no feels more dangerous than burning out. In fact, in this mindset, when you're operating from it, no is not even an option. So you keep saying yes and adding more and more onto your list and onto your shoulders and the burden of doing it all because you're afraid of disappointing and of pushing back and saying no. It's a really atrophied muscle. So these two mindsets, the should mindset and the play nice mindset, oof, does it hit home for Asian women, especially in my coaching practice when we work and I work with them to bring to the forefront these different mindsets and the ones that ring true for them. Once they become aware, they breathe a sigh of relief. And then the question becomes, what do we do with it? Well, I'll share with you what you can do once you become aware, but let me cover the last two. The next is the not good enough yet mindset. And this mindset is really intellectualized fear. This is the mindset that tells you that you need to do one more homework or get one more degree before you take the plunge, before you do the thing that is calling to you. Maybe it's starting your own side hustle or writing a book or even going to the convention. Or maybe it's speaking in front of an audience or sharing something with an audience that you love. And yet you stop yourself because you tell yourself you're not ready. You need more experience. You need another degree. And this one is very tricky because so many of you live in this. And the last one is the fear mindset. This one is definitely the thief of potential, and it makes you play small to stay safe. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, and the fear of embarrassment. And this one rings so loud. Let's take a little break. And I want to share with you that identifying these mindsets is only half the battle. You really have to plan to interrupt them. And this is exactly why I created Ever 10. It's not just a community, it's a nourishment protocol for the woman who is tired of the grind. So when you feel that perfectionist engine starting to overheat and you need a physical circuit breaker, for me, that's our clarity candle. When I light that, it's my non-negotiable signal to my brain that the performance is over and alignment has begun. It clears my mental fog so I can finally hear my own voice. And for those days when you're running between meetings, as I have, and I know you do, and you're running from the should mindset because it tells you that you don't have time to eat, that's where our Ever 10 protein bar comes in. The Ever 10 bar is clean, sustained fuel designed for the woman like you who needs to stay sharp without crashing. It's about nourishing the body so the mind can stay aligned. So I invite you to check out Ever 10 today. That's EVRTEN.com so that you can stay nourished and aligned. Now, these are the 6 unhelpful mindsets, and there's an interplay between all of them. Some of us may be ruled by one dominant unhelpful mindset, yet what I see most often is an interplay between all of them, that we may move through some of these mindsets and also be ruled by one or two most of the time. And this is why my second book, The Aligned Mindset, does a deep dive into these 6 unhelpful mindsets and the ways that it stops us from being bold in the ways that matter to us and from stepping into the quote unquote podium in our everyday lives. And so I do a deep dive and unpack it. And what I want to share with you is the framework that I provide in the book that is based on research and 2 years of research actually that showed that the mindset and having an aligned mindset is what makes women successful in work and in life. I also provide the framework for how to work with and through these mindsets. So, I'm sharing them with you now because I want you to start becoming aware of your dominant unhelpful mindset so that you can be more courageous and authentic and go for the quote unquote gold in your own life. Step 1 is really to create awareness. Okay, the first step. And there's nowhere else to start than to start from a place of awareness. And in my coaching practice with women, we start there. If there is not an awareness of the unhelpful mindsets, we start by creating awareness around the thoughts. It's the foundation for alignment. So we begin by being curious about moments through the literal act of taking a breath, and when you're taking a walk, or whether you're engaging in talk therapy, it could be journaling. Sometimes I use a voice recorder on my phone to talk out my thoughts, and then I listen to it later. So we can use tools as well to create awareness and to create awareness around what you're hearing yourself say. And these are all strategies to build awareness. If you're not a journaler or a writer, just take a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be pretty, and write out your thoughts and see what themes come up. Is there fear underneath it? Is it a play nice mindset? Is it one where you are noticing that you're playing by the should mindset? And these moments of reflection is what creates awareness around your inner thoughts. So, step one, as I shared, is creating awareness. And then the second step is really to pause, take a breath, literally take a breath, a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Because neuroscience research has shown that when you take the milliseconds to breathe deeply, it can give you that moment and the power to choose a different action. So when you catch yourself wanting to react or act from an unhelpful mindset, breathe deeply, and it can give you the moment and the power and the agency to choose a different action. Okay. So it all is about being intentional, being curious, knowing what mindset you're operating from, taking a breath, and then really choosing a different action, which is the third step. Identify an intentional action that aligns with your values. So after you've given yourself the space you need to create awareness about your mindset, consider your next best step. The action doesn't have to be big. You're not trying to boil the ocean. Your next step doesn't even need to be a medium size. It could be a micro step. And I'm an advocate of a micro step. I think micro steps are the key to success. So consider, what is your next best step that's going to propel you forward in the direction that you choose, rather than from one of these unhelpful mindsets. These unhelpful mindsets have us take action in a misaligned way, in a way that shrinks our potential, in a way that has us burning out ultimately, in a way that makes us move away from the actions that are true for us. And so with these steps, it is all about being aligned. It is about being clear and taking action from that. So then, not surprisingly, the last step is taking the micro step. Take it. Just do it. Confidence, as many of you may have heard me say, confidence is formed through doing. So each tiny step you take will help confirm for you the direction that you've chosen, or it's going to give you data to be able to pivot and shift gears. Okay. And then last, this isn't an action, but something that I suggest in my coaching practice with women and in general is reward yourself. For any habit to build, we need to pair that action with a reward or kudos, and recognizing that we were brave in choosing a different action and not operating from an unhelpful mindset. So again, the 6 unhelpful mindsets that I unpack in my second book, The Aligned Mindset, is the first one, the perfectionist. The second, the overachiever. The third, the should mindset. The fourth, the play nice mindset. And the fifth, the not good enough yet mindset. And the sixth, the fear mindset. And then the framework to work out of these mindsets to be more aligned is the first, to create awareness. Which mindset are you operating from? Second, breathe so that you can choose a different action. Third, identify the intentional action. And then lastly, take that micro step. So I can't wait to see how you play with this, because as I shared, it is about building that muscle back up, and that with each action you take that feels more aligned and that feels more true and helps you step boldly and more courageously into your life is going to propel you forward. So with that, I want to invite you into one more action that you can actually take today. It's called the reverse to-do list. And I'm going to encourage you to stop looking at what's left on your list and grab pen and paper and write down 5 things you actually finished in the last 48 hours, including the very important, very powerful, invisible wins, like holding a boundary that was important to you. And I want you to sit with that. Sit and really marinate in your progress. Because what I know to be true as a coach and as someone who practices what she preaches, you can't get to the podium if you refuse to acknowledge the ground that you've already won. So, really take this action today. If nothing else, stop looking at what's left and write down the things you actually did and accomplished. And I want to conclude today's conversation with this. Success without alignment is just a very high functioning form of failure. This month, let's honor the women on the grand stage and in our own lives, in our own orbit, who have made history by becoming the women we were actually meant to be. And I invite you to pick up your copy of The Aligned Mindset, where I do a deep dive into these 6 unhelpful mindsets and provide so much more around the framework that I shared with you today, as well as the wisdom from the high achieving women that I did research on to write this book. So I hope that this was a very helpful conversation. And until next time,